The trouble is, I'm used to launching books to academic audiences, and the books sell 2 copies, and everybody can't wait to get the drinks. And so all I can say here is that I take my hat off to the authors of these works, because I've done some self-publishing myself lately. That's because I'm getting old and I can't wait for publishers to make up their minds. But it did strike me that these 2 books have been produced under circumstances where publishers weren't making up their minds. And to have a book illustrated brilliantly by a younger person is something that doesn't happen in the publishing industry. This is a sort of taboo. Children don't write children's books. They're written by adults who know what they're doing. Yeah. And here we have a book written during the lockdown, about lockdown, which demonstrates what was going on in lockdown. We weren't all under the bed, we were actually doing something. So they're both very creative. I looked up, and I tried to get a good quote for this, and I found A.A. Milne, who said, "Almost anyone can be an author. The business is to collect money and fame from this state of being." Looking at that check, it seems to me that the 2 processes have been done very well here. I mean, Milne was wrong, actually. Not everybody can write a book, that's the first thing. But he's right about the fact that to get the money out of it is incredibly difficult. As I say, I've been doing some self-publishing, and so far, with 6 novels, I've made £28. That's income. The outgoing I won't even mention. Because, again, I take my hat off to people who self-publish. I mean, for years I thought, no, self-publishers, In fact, it is incredibly difficult. And to get books out in the sort of quantity and quality we've got here is quite an achievement. If you've never tried it, my advice is don't. I thought, well, okay, I've got to say something else. And the thing about Mootsy has been a huge success with my grandchildren, I have to say. It passed the test of being read by grandchildren. And almost everybody I've shown it to has come back to me with a hamster or a gerbil story from their childhood. Now, I've got 4 daughters who are now grown up and I've got grandchildren as well. But when I showed it to them, they all remembered one of our hamsters. I mean, we had hamsters from birth to horse side. We go through the whole gamut. And Amy, my number 2 daughter, who once told me never to tell this story again, right, had a hamster called Honey, right? Of indeterminate gender. So that way, I mean, we know whether it was a lady or a man hamster. And then one day we noticed that he was looking very uncomfortable. This story, by the way, is sad in parts. And he was looking very uncomfortable. So Amy said, "Can you take him to the vet and see if he's all right?" You see. So I said, "Okay, we'll take him to the vet." And this is the first advice I would give to any parents who have children with hamsters. When you go to the vet, don't take the child with you, right? For a very good reason. And so on my way out through the door, my wife said, "How much is it going to cost?" And I said, "Well, it doesn't matter, we can pay whatever we like to get Honey better." And she said, "Well, it only costs £2.50 to buy that." So we don't want to overdo this. So I got to the vet, see, and the vet's very good, and we all went in together. That was a mistake. Amy and I went in together with Honey. You have to sign in England. Honey Hunt, it was. And we signed it, and the vet felt him or her all over. I said, "Needs operation, I'm afraid." Operation. Okay, how much? £30. So I thought, well, can't go home now. Anyway, so but Amy was standing there, you see, and she was 9, and I thought, well, what can one do? So, okay, fine, yeah, of course, naturally we will pay. So I went home, tried not to tell my wife about it, and then we had a phone call from the vet saying, we've done the operation, but we're a bit worried because we had to do keyhole surgery that we might have sewn up the wrong bit. The story does appeal to certain people in certain ways. So we went and got Honey and brought him or her home, and you could tell they had sewn up the wrong bit because the next couple of days, Hamster was walking around the cage, really, really sad. So we better take him back, right? So my wife said, this time I'm taking him back. Right, no more of this nonsense. And she came back about an hour later. And I said, where's Honey? And, well, we had to leave him for another operation. I said, how much? 35 pounds. And so the next day, I don't remember this story because it was my 50th birthday the next day. And the phone rang. There was in bed, having presents and things in the morning. And the phone rang, and I thought, another fan. And it was the vet saying, I'm terribly sorry, I've got pretty bad news for you, that Honey has passed away. My wife was saying £55. And so, first thing I had to do on my 50th birthday morning was to go out to the garden, dig a grave, and in those days I used to have to carve little gravestones with an electric drill. So I did all that. Then we went back to the vets to pick up the little body, you see. And we walked in, and I said, come to get Honey. And the receptionist said, oh, here he is. And there was this hamster bouncing around in the cage. I said, well, hang on, we thought he was... And he said, yeah, we've got a new receptionist who got it all mixed up, and it's the wrong hamster. So it ended happily with a happy hamster. Yeah, but I won't go into how it finally ended. But that's so... And every time I talk to people about hamsters, you get another story like this of savage hamsters who frighten the neighbourhood. It happens a lot. So then I thought, for Brian's book, for this book, a book about lockdown, are there any good lockdown stories? Now, interesting when you say that, people kind of go quiet. The only good lockdown story I've got is that when we locked down in England, I was not allowed out due to my great age. I was simply confined to the house. So wife had to do all the shopping. And this makes a difference to the diet in the household. There's certain goodies don't come into the household that used to, right? So I was desperately trying to see what can you buy online. When you're in lockdown, you've got to do things. What can I buy online? And Amazon and all these things was just out of everything. You couldn't buy any food, you couldn't buy any drinks, anything. So my stationery company, Viking Stationery, who do paper and ink and so on, also did boxes of biscuits. I thought, this is it. The one thing I could get out of it. So I ordered a box of those little biscuits you dip into coffee, right? And I thought, they'll just sneak in, they'll deliver them, and I can sneak up to the study and nobody will ever notice. When it came, the box had 5,000 biscuits in it. That's great, and it was delivered in a van. And, it's very difficult to get around that. So that is my hamster story and my lockdown story. So, and I kind of just reiterate the fact that I admire both of these for not only because they're nice, they're nicely done. This isn't just any old indulgent nonsense, I think the pictures in Mootsy are, to say they're competent is to underestimate this. They're really good indeed. And this style, it's not only clever, but it's intricately done. It hasn't been thrown together. There's somebody with real talent and real care gone into these. And the final product seems to me to be extremely respectable. And so I was rather thinking that now the future is self-publishing for this sort of quality. So that's all I have to say, except to say, I think now how to launch them is one of these interesting things.
Everybody duck.
Or if you give me a minute, I could fold these up into. The last launch I did in Dublin, I actually brought a bottle in with me, poured this over the book, which didn't go very well. So anyway, I'm saying thank you all for coming, and all the hard work that's gone into this. For getting this idea onto that table is a phenomenal thing. So I launched these books, and God bless all who say them.
That for me it was an amazing journey. I'd recommend everybody publish a picture book. I've published academic books, but this is the one for me. It's the one I remember all my life. It's the one that I had the most fun doing. The one that taught me the most, actually, as well, about myself and about my daughter. So I would like to invite her up because she told me she would love to say a few words. So would you like to come up, Tara?
To be honest, I think I only have a few words to say. Bird's eye view.
Thank you, Tara. And Chloe, would you like to come up and say a few words? Maybe not the same words.
Yeah, so I thought I would just tell you a little bit. Firstly, I want to say thank you all for coming. Thank you everyone, thank you Peter for being here. I see some of my lecturers are here and people from my classes as well, so thank you so much. Really means a lot that you came along. So I thought I would start off by just explaining a little bit of the circumstances around me making the book. So I was the Leaving Cert class of 2020. I'm the class who did Leaving Cert. I remember before March of 2020 talking with my friends about people who maybe didn't get the points for the course they wanted, and we would say, gosh, imagine having to sit the Leaving Cert twice. And then after March 2020 we were saying, gosh, imagine sitting the Leaving Cert at all. So really, when we went into lockdown, everything just, I won't say fell apart, but everything changed. And Leaving Cert is obviously a time that should be very planned out. There's a set route of where you're going to go, and that all completely changed for us. So really, I was thinking, if this seems so unreal to me, what must it be like for kids who maybe aren't watching the news, who don't know exactly what's going on? So that was part of the motivation for doing it. The other part was that obviously I love doing art, and I had written some kids' books before. And up to that point, really all of my creative energy had to go into my Leaving Cert art project. So when that was kind of hanging in the balance, we didn't know if that was going to go ahead, I decided I would start this project because it was just something for myself, something I really enjoyed doing, and I just had creative freedom with it. And then of course, obviously Leaving Cert didn't happen, we got our predicted grades, and I was very lucky that I got my first choice, which was Global Languages here in NUIG. And really I chose to study languages because I love communicating with people, I love meeting new people. And that's kind of where my the second kids book that I wrote, I Want to Speak French, it's over there, came from. It was kind of an introduction to language and to the idea of different cultures and things like that. So that's what I really love with kids books, is how you can kind of share your experiences. So in this book I was sharing my experience of being an exchange student in France. And similarly, I really love how everything is being shared with me here in the College of Arts in NUIG. Because obviously I'm studying languages, but I've had so much support from Professor Mayers here, Lindsay, with my other things that are partly outside of languages, but very much connected as well. So yeah, I've really been overwhelmed with the support, and then also this year in Spanish, I've discovered I have a Spanish children's literature class, which has been just amazing. It's really good to be learning, and even within my languages, that I can keep progressing all of these other facets of my personality. So today I can say that I'm very confident that I make the right choice in coming here to NUIG, and just that I can continue with my creative endeavours along with my languages. So that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for coming.
I want to tell you about Láithín's book, Everyone Must Stay at Home. And that's that at the end of it, she has a little to-do list here. So, because Layla and Raphael, they need a list of things to do at home, because as we all know from having, I suppose, known about kids that were off school, that were being homeschooled, even if we weren't actually doing it ourselves, it gets a bit boring. You know, you have to keep getting stimulation. What else could I do? What else could I do? So she has many things here, like you could construct a toy zip line, make friendship bracelets, make your own stickers, learn how to use chopsticks, do leaf rubbings outside, be an undercover spy. Like, the list is endless here, and I can tell you that Tara did every single one of them. She takes them all up. So there you go, you have it now, you have to do the same. So can I please invite up Emma to say a few words about the GSPCA and let us know a little bit what you're going to do with all this wonderful money that we've given you.
first of all, just to say on behalf of Go SPCA and myself and Anita, thank you so much for inviting us, and of course thank you so much for thinking of us as a charity, for the wonderful financial gift you're about to give us. So the Go SPCA is, we are an animal rescue centre. We have a sanctuary in between, just outside Tumna, which houses dogs only at the moment. So at any given time we have about 50 to 55 unwanted, abandoned, cruelty cases, dogs. And then in the city, we probably know we have a little shop down on St Augustine Street. I don't leave the sanctuary. I live in Tumna town, and I go 5k to the sanctuary every single day of my life, and that's about it. So we do have a little shop in St Augustine Street, and then our cattery is based in Athenry, and that also has a little second-hand shop. The reason we have so many little second-hand shops is it helps fund our charity. Obviously we take in all animals, we help all animals, we take in dogs, cats, and then we have one of our committee who looks after the smaller animals like gerbils and hamsters, rabbits, badgers. We don't keep the wildlife. We initially come and rescue them from Galway, and then they go to our friends at Kildare Wildlife who are specialised in that area. But we do have somebody who takes in the little ones like the gerbils, the hamsters, the guinea pigs, the rabbits, and there is plenty of it, and unfortunately there's also cruelty within those smaller animals as well, and I think it's easy sometimes to forget those smaller mammals and focus more on the dogs and the cats and things. So it is very important to highlight that there are lots of people out there who love the amphibians, the little mammals. I'm actually terrified of gerbils, hamsters, and things like that. So I read your book, and
Did it help?
Yeah, did it help overcome my fear? Maybe not. I see the appeal. It's just maybe not for me. I spent too many years working in horse yards and stables with plenty of mice and rats to keep my fear going. Amazing, the book, absolutely amazing. I think it's really important for somebody of my age now. I mean, I'm on the way towards retiring age in another 10 years maybe. It's so important for us to think that the younger generation are going to grow up being a lot more educated, a lot more outspoken, and hopefully be the voice for the amount of animals in this country and even further afield. You know, I think for ourselves, we didn't have social media growing up, we didn't have these platforms, children were to be seen and not heard. So to see yourself and your young daughter, you are teaching her such a valuable lesson, and I'm sure she probably taught you a valuable lesson during the making of this book. And that is, we go to schools, we go to secondary schools mostly, we do go to national schools, and it's really to try and get children to understand that animals are sentient beings. We understand they're not for everybody, and not everyone is an animal lover, but it's just to be respectful, and it's also about teaching young children that it's okay to maybe think differently to your friends if you are an animal lover. And yeah, so it was very refreshing to read your book and to look at your beautiful illustrations. Well done to both of you. And as I said, for us to be the recipients of this, we are, like every charity, we are always under immense strain. And this is more the financial lady. I do dogs, I'm kennel manager, all I see are animals. I don't see the checkbooks, the money, or what has to be paid. But I do know, I think it costs about 22,000, 25,000, it's gone up, to run our sanctuary every month. We have 2 paid members of staff, and that's only recently, that's myself and Anita, who's our admin and fundraiser. Most people are on schemes, most people are, and it's all very...
So you're saying we
We
need
don't
a lot more
work-
picture books?
Yes, yes, please. We don't work there for, you won't be rich, it's a passion. For people like me, it's a passion that can't be turned off. It's inside, and hopefully that's where it stays for a long time. So also, and rescue is a very lonely place, and it's a very dark place at times, and it changes you as a person. I'm doing it coming up to my 18th year, and it has dramatically changed me as a person. It hardens you. There's some very positive parts of it. There's also some very dark negative parts of what cruelty, when you're seeing it on a daily, weekly basis, of what that can do to you. So it can be a very lonely place, and sometimes I say this all the time, I've lost friends, I've lost probably family, I have left my daughter's communions, confirmations, I've left weddings, I've left funerals, because I've had a message to tell me that there's a dog or a cat, mainly dogs, I'll be honest, in need. And I can't help that, that's who I am. I'm proud to be that person. I'm proud to be part of Galway SPCA. And so when people like yourself, your daughter, and other people do things like this for us, invite us to these places, and I think Anita will agree, it makes us feel that there's more hope than what we sometimes see, and it's always a heartwarming feeling to know that people see us, that people know what we're doing, that people are grateful for the work we do, because as I said, it sometimes is a very dark, lonely place, so thank you so much. So yes, your donation will go into a much needed pot that I think Anita is constantly staring at the bottom of. We are constantly short of money, and you know that's okay, but we need to keep going, we need to be there for the animals. And so yeah, on behalf of dogs like Mr. Magoo at the back there, next racing greyhound, who's now mine, but he is one of thousands every year of greyhounds that come to our sanctuary gates. He's one of thousands of dogs that come to our gates. You know, and we have a dog there at the minute who got hit by a car on the Galway motorway, broke her leg and lost her foot, her whole foot fell off. So she has now been in our vets for maybe 5 weeks, receiving constant daily care. She has no foot left. It is going back, so that's good news. But she's going to cost us maybe 5,000–6,000 on her own, I would imagine. So thank you so much, and thank you to everyone for bringing us here.
Thank you
today. So, and thank you.
It's a small amount of money, but it comes from the heart, so thanks ever so much. Thanks ever so much. And it's been a wonderful adventure. So guys, now we're going to have food, drink, buy books. There's people who can sign books if you want. Yeah, it's all fun. Yeah, we will do a lecture, guys. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Just yours, perfect.